Live from New York, this is WIUR Radio.
What is going on, everybody? This is another edition of your New York Sports Update. I'm your host, Ernest Patty, and let's get into it. Apologies for not being here last week, but we're ready to get going this week and give you kind of an outlook for New York sports coming up. And so we've got a few things to talk about today. We've got the Giants against Philadelphia. Philadelphia Eagles. I was about to say Phillies. You can see where my mind is at. I'm ready for baseball. Then we've got big free agency between the New York Jets and some other teams around the league. We're going to cover that. And then we're going to talk about the World Series because, yes, it is over, but it was a great series nonetheless. And then, we got some, other things happening around the leagues. And, we'll get to it. All right. First, we're going to start back in week 8 of the NFL season. We have the Giants against the Philadelphia Eagles. Tough loss, right? Dart went 14 for 24, 193 yards, 1 passing touchdown. He had 6 carries for 17 yards and 1 rushing touchdown, his 4th of his career. Giants lost 38-20. Although it was a very close game until the 4th quarter, the Giants just couldn't get it going. The Eagles defense is just really that good. Some key moments in the game. Unfortunately, my dog of the week 2 weeks ago, since I wasn't here last week, was Cam Scatterboo. And unfortunately, he did go down in the second quarter with a gruesome ankle injury. Thankfully, he is okay. He had surgery later that day. And he's on his way to recovery. So we wish him well. I will be missing him on the gridiron. He's one of those, exciting rookies that you don't see very often. I mean, you get glimpses of guys. You've got like Emeka Ibuka, you've got Cam Scatterby, you got Jackson Dart, guys like that kind of have explosive moments, and that you can kind of look at and like rally behind. And this Giants team was, one of those teams where you were like, wow, even though we're not winning games, we're still playing pretty well for what we've got. And so really stinks to see him go down so early in the season and in his career. You never want to see somebody go down like that, but we are wishing him well, and hopefully he can get back in the field, come next season. If you were watching the game, we had a very controversial fumble call. Jalen Hurts was still pushing forward. They were doing a tush push. It was like, I think, a 3rd and 1 or something like that. And they went for the tush push, and pretty sure it was Brian Burns or rookie. I'm blanking on his name right now. Abdul Carter, who actually stripped the ball from Hurts on that play. And the refs called it dead well before or well after the fumble, right? Or after Brian Burns stripped the ball from Jalen Hurts. They ultimately gave them the first down. They blew the play dead. And then Philly went on to score right after that. So that was kind of a point where if you were watching the game, you're like, oh, and actually as of recent, a lot of the games, the officiating and the calls have been really weird. When you're watching the Chiefs play anybody, you saw them earlier in the season with Detroit and the Jared Goff touchdown that got called back. You see plays like that, or first down calls or penalties that are like kind of phantom penalties, right? That make no sense, but they were called on the field and upheld. You have people saying that New York got involved and told them, or the head office got involved and told them to call the foul anyway. You have to keep having these moments where you're watching it and you're like, oh, the NFL's got to be rigged. Not starting that rumor yet, but just things to watch. You see during these big game or games involving big teams, right? Big markets. So anyway, you had one of those plays where could have gone either way. But again, you see the refs make a costly mistake that didn't go the Giants' way. There was also later in the game, actually, after that touchdown, the game actually remained pretty close until the fourth quarter, and Jalen Hurts just couldn't be stopped with Dallas Goddard, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, guys like that, and Saquon, obviously. Um, they're just an overpowered offense, and beating up on a already leaky Giants defense, is you just hate to see it. Um, Giants did have some positive moments. There was a maybe questionable call of offensive pass interference with 9 minutes to play in the fourth. That got called back. They called back a Darius Slayton touchdown, and then from there the Giants managed to claw one back late in the fourth, and the Eagles just shut the Giants down. Some key takeaways. Dart looked decent. The offensive line needs to step up. He was basically running around from sideline to sideline the entire game and just couldn't get really anything going, positively. He had very little rushing yards for positive gains, but he was back and forth the whole game. And then even though even though Cam Scatterboo is now going down, went down with the injury, we have a questionable backfield now. Who will lead it? Tyrone Tracy, who previously had a collarbone injury, and Devin Singletary, a longtime vet. He's been with the Giants for a couple of years now. So we'll see who remains the lead back. Maybe Tracy resumes his role, or Devin Singletary, will have a kind of a shared role with Tracy. And yeah, that was pretty much it in that game. Next, we then saw the Giants take on the 49ers. And that was also another tough loss. 49ers 34, Giants 24. Jackson Dart completed 24 of his 33 passes for 191 yards. So they were passing more than against Philly, but again, didn't amount to more yards. They were actually 2 yards short of last game, but they did have two passing. Dart did have 2 passing touchdowns with 0 interceptions, and he had 1 rushing touchdown to also cap off a pretty good performance by him. He rushed 8 times for 56 yards, actually taking over that lead running back position, if you will. So with Cam Scatterboo gone, it looks like they're going to have Dart running more, and you'll probably see more designed plays to get him on his, out of the pocket more. Wan'Dale Robinson had a pretty uneventful day. He did catch 9 passes, which is pretty high for him. And for 46 yards, which again, not anything to really write home about. You had Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy splitting carries. Singletary had a few more carries, but Tyrone Tracy caught more passes. So don't really know who's going to be the lead back yet, but it looks like it's going to be a split backfield for now. On defense, Brian Burns recorded a strip sack with a forced fumble that was recovered by Abdul Carter, the exciting rookie, inside San Francisco territory. Despite the takeaway, the Giants defense couldn't convert it. Giants offense couldn't convert it into points. And the 49ers rushed for a total of 159 yards against the Giants defense. Kind of just highlighting their inability to stop the run. They haven't been great of late. I know no one's really starting the Giants defense in fantasy, so it's going to be tough. They do have some injuries as well, and so it'll be kind of a tough stretch for the Giants these next couple games. They do have the hardest schedule in the season in the league this season, so we'll see. It's probably not going to get better this season, but who knows? Maybe next season. Little defensive metrics. The 49ers were successful on 7 of 12 third or fourth down attempts, while the Giants allowed that extended drive rate, just giving them, more plays and more opportunities to score. And then according to PFF, Brian Burns was among the few bright spots in that Giants defense. And this is their second game. Giants defense has now allowed 33 plus points in 3 straight games, making this trend not looking great for the Giants defense. Again, some more key takeaways. Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger are stepping up in the absence of Malik Neighbors, who went down earlier in the season. The defense, again, just they're playing well, but they're just pretty leaky. And Shane Bowen could lose his job next season. Shane Bowen, the Giants defensive coordinator. I am not too hopeful going into these next couple games. They take on Chicago, who are favored by 3.5 points. Chicago's offense has been clicking. They've recently just scored 47 points in a crazy game against the Bengals. And yeah, they look scary. Their defense, however, they are missing a few pieces on the other side of the ball. So maybe the Giants can, expose them a little bit, but not looking good. Not looking good. Some kind of concerns going forward. The Giants are now 0-5 on the road. They're just not playing well on the road, but they got those couple wins at home. So I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt, as you will. Some kind of areas to watch. The Bears are more than likely going to win this, but New York does have a fighting chance, especially if they can limit turnovers and keep the game clean. The over is at 47.5, so highlights their offensive scoring capabilities. It just matters how the defenses play. I know I will not be starting the Bears or the Giants defense, although I do have them in my lineup right now, which I do have to change. Some key areas to watch. Can they protect Jackson Dart? Who knows? The Bears have a very good defensive line, so who knows? We'll see. The Bears have a pretty good dual two running backs that can compete. They've got DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, who, when Swift was out last week, Monangai really stepped up. I did see him go off in fantasy, so kind of wish I had him on my team, but win some, you lose some, right? And they're playing at Soldier Field. Weather could always be a factor. I think the Bears are probably more used to it by now, and the Giants, more so. But over at the Meadowlands, but who knows? Moving on to some trade deadline news. I don't know if you heard, but there were some blockbuster trades over the past couple days. The New York Jets made headlines with trading away cornerback Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts. And then they also traded all-pro defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys. Together, these moves added a lot of draft capital to the Jets, stockpile, if you will. They've now got several first-round picks and second-round picks for both players. So we're kind of in a rebuild. It'll be, fun to see what the Jets do next year. I don't know if they're going to remain with Justin Fields at quarterback. I like Justin Fields. I think he's a dual threat quarterback in the right he is a dual threat quarterback, but I think just in certain situations, he's shown that he's really good. And then other times, I think the offensive line struggles, the wide receiver, who's playing, if Garrett Wilson's hurt, they kind of don't really have anybody else. But we'll see. I'm kind of excited for this new rebuild. It'll be the first one that I'm actually kind of paying attention to, that I actually know, what's going on. So it'll be kind of cool. I think the Jets and the Giants are kind of in a similar spot, although the Giants didn't do anything during the trade deadline this year. Hopefully next year they'll get a little bit more active. We'll see if Joe Shane and Brian Dable remain, for next season. But right now, Jets, I feel optimistic, but I also understand people's, hesitation to really believe that the Jets are going to improve. But they really got to hit on those draft picks. Those first and second round picks are really important. So who knows? Maybe they trade those, come draft day for some players and, some later round picks. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think they're probably going to go heavy on the offensive line, and then maybe draft a cornerback late in the round just to supplement that loss of Sauce Gardner. The Colts, who the Jets traded him to, are kind of in a win now situation. Uh, you go from 2-7 to now 7-2. That's a huge shift. And Sauce gets to play for a ring, which I'm kind of happy for. I think the Colts are really in a good position. Their new owner, pseudo GM, the daughter of Jim Irsay, she's doing a really good job. And, I'm excited to see what happens there out in Indianapolis. The Cowboys, who acquired Quinnen Williams, are trying to supplement that loss of Micah Parsons. They're kind of just in a weird spot right now. They've lost a few. They've got that weird tie with Green Bay in overtime this season. But yeah, Cowboys are kind of in a weird spot. But maybe who knows? Next year they'll go through this draft, see what we got. They have, I think, like a mid to earlier round first round pick. So who knows where they go? I think Dak remains their QB1, and they've got CeeDee Lamb and a couple other guys that are really productive on that offense. So we'll see. Just another few things. The Bills nearly acquired Calvin Ridley from the Tennessee Titans, but it fell through due to salary cap issues. And then some other teams who I think this is actually a really big trade, or not a big in terms of value for both sides, but the Seattle Seahawks picked up wide receiver Rashid Shaheed to boost their wide receiver room. I know Jackson Smith-Njigba is balling out in Seattle, and they kind of don't have a wide receiver 2 or 3. So adding Shaheed into that, I think he'll become the wide receiver 2 there out in Seattle is huge. I think he's a really big impact player, super fast, and he can return punts and kicks. So I kind of liken him to like Deshaun Jackson, even though he hasn't put up Deshaun Jackson like numbers. But he's one of those players that's really impactful on the offense, but not as well known. And then you got the San Francisco 49ers, who are kind of in the same spot as the Jets, the Giants. Even though they're playing well with Mac Jones, they're also missing a lot of pieces. So they didn't do anything like the Giants. And, I guess San Francisco 49ers fans are kind of bummed about that. But the packages included the New York Jets sent Sauce Gardner to the Colts for 2 first-round draft picks, the 2026 and 2027, plus Adonai Mitchell in exchange for Sauce Gardner. I think Adonai Mitchell is going to help that wide receiver room. He'll take over for the wide receiver 1 when Garrett Wilson's hurt. I know they also have Alan Lazard and a couple other guys that can, kind of rotate in and supplement that spot. But I think Adonai Mitchell was kind of in a crowded wide receiver room out in Indianapolis, with Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, and Michael Pittman. They just, didn't have that fourth, you don't have a 4th wide receiver spot. So, and they've got Tyler Warren, who's been balling. So, just kind of needed to move on from him. Dallas Cowboys got Quinnen Williams. They get a 2026 and a 2027 2026 second round pick and a 2027 first round pick. And they got defensive tackle Mozzie Smith in that trade too, which is huge. Mozzie Smith was previously traded from Green Bay to the Dallas Cowboys, and then the Dallas Cowboys turn around and send him to New York. Now, here are some trades that happened that kind of fell under the radar. And I only know this because I was from Miami. I've spent a lot of time in Miami, and I watched the Dolphins a lot because they were the only ones I could get on cable. And Philadelphia Eagles made a big splash, taking a shot on linebacker / edge Jalen Phillips. They gave up a 2026 third-round pick, and Miami Dolphins actually just got rid of their GM. So their assistant GM, if you will, took over that role. And his first trade was a pretty big one. Jalen Phillips had ACL, Achilles injuries, a whole host of other stuff from college and through his 5 years in the bigs baseball. What am I saying? But given Phillips' injury history, it's somewhat surprising the Dolphins got a third rounder, but that also speaks highly of the competition around, NFL teams trying to, pick up pieces that are kind of in a win now or preparing to win in the future. come later in the season, playoffs, and maybe next season. Um, but uh, the compensatory compensatory, yeah, can't say that, but the compensation that the Eagles will get if they let Jalen Phillips walk will be a third rounder. It could change depending on a few things, just how far Philly gets, or how Miami does. Um, but the most Miami could have gotten if they let Phillips walk was a third rounder. So GM did pretty well. And if he's a rental for Philadelphia, the edge rusher signing elsewhere in the offseason could also earn the Philadelphia Eagles a comp pick as well. They also acquired cornerback Jair Alexander from the Baltimore Ravens and cornerback Michael Carter from the Jets. They gave up John Mechie III to another wide receiver who kind of fell under the radar for many years. I watched him a lot in college. They got a 2027 sixth-round pick. That's what the Jets received. They got a 2027 sixth-round pick and John Mechie. So Giants, look at me. Jets did pretty well in securing some trades, but I think Philly actually really won the trade deadline acquisitions. You got the Los Angeles Rams who acquired cornerback Roger McCreary from the Tennessee Titans for a conditional sixth-round pick. Kind of just needed a guy to fill a hole. You got the Cleveland Browns who traded offensive tackle Cam Robinson from the Houston Texans. Traded for Cam Robinson to get him from the Houston Texans by giving up a 2026 sixth-round pick, and also sorry, I got my notes confused. They gave up a 2026 and then received the Houston Texans received a 2027 seventh-round pick. Pittsburgh Steelers acquired safety Kyle Duggar from the New England Patriots, giving away a 2026 round pick in exchange for a 2026 seventh-round pick. And then Seattle sent 2 draft picks to New Orleans, a 2026 fourth-round pick and a 2026 fifth-round pick for Rashid Shaheed, who a lot of teams were after. But that's good to see that Sam Darnold is getting some help. Even though I do believe that the Philadelphia Eagles kind of snuck in there as one of the teams that kind of won the trade deadline, I think the Colts also won the trade deadline because Sauce Gardner is really like a press man cover. And he's going to now have a lot of help from other guys on the defense. So they'll plug and play him in certain situations, but I see him starting every game from now on. And I think he'll look good in the Indianapolis blue. You could say Seahawks are also a big winner, just getting better with Shaheed. And I think the big losers, actually, the Jets could be a big loser if none of these draft picks pan out. And I don't want to say none of them are going to, but I think it's really hit or miss with a lot of first and second round talent. But who knows? It's really going to depend on all these draft picks. They got to really scout well, and they got to trust that GM. Maybe he knows what he's doing, but we'll see. Cowboys, they did well with adding Quinnen Williams, but at the same thing, it's midseason. It's a midseason fix, but with where they are in the standings, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But they got to win, and hopefully he helps them win. Just kind of what to watch going forward. How quickly will Gardner, impact the Colts defense? Again, how will Quinnen Williams play for the Cowboys? For the Jets, how's that draft capital going to work? And then, kind of what ripple effects does this have on upcoming matchups and playoff races? And we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. On to the World Series. Game 7, big series. I didn't watch too many games, but I did see Game 6 and Game 7, which Game 7 was probably one of the best of that series. Even though there were great moments from all the games, I thought Game 7 was really, really, really good. You had the Blue Jays jumping out to an early lead with Bo Bichette crushing a three-run home run off Shohei Ohtani. I personally love that. Love to see that. No offense to Ohtani, but he did beat my Yankees last year and this year. So anyway, don't like the Dodgers over here if you keep following along. Then in the fourth and sixth innings, LA managed to get a couple runs to pull within 1 or 2 runs, and then you had Toronto adding on another run in the sixth with Ernie Clement's single, stole second, and then later scored on a double by Andres Jimenez, who also played very very well this postseason. Um, uh, ma- uh, Bringing the score to 4-2. Dodgers tied later in the game off of Max Muncy solo home run to make it 4-3. And then in the top of the ninth, with the Blue Jays leading 4-3, Miguel Rojas, who pretty sure pinch hit, came off the bench. Dave Roberts took a chance on this guy, and he delivered by smashing a solo home run to tie the game. And he was actually the first player to hit a game tying home run in the ninth inning of a Game 7 series. And then into extra innings we went, and to be honest, that is when once it went to extra innings, I knew Toronto was not winning. It's just one of those gut feelings that you have that you're like, Dodgers just, they've got it, right? They've got the arms, they've got the people to make it happen. And I think Toronto ultimately just lost the game for themselves. Um, but in extra innings, after a scoreless 10 and on to the 11th, Will Smith hit the go-ahead home run to make it 5-4. The first extra inning homer in a Game 7 to clinch a World Series. What was crazy was Yoshinobu Yamamoto, fresh off starting the previous game, uh, came in relief and secured the final outs, ending the game on a double play, and he was named the series MVP. He pitched a complete game in Game 2, threw 6 innings in Game 6, and then came in to close it out in Game 7. I don't think we've ever seen that from a pitcher. That guy's crazy, and I hope to never face him in the playoffs ever. Matter of fact, can we just keep the Dodgers on the West Coast for the entire thing? Because if they face the Yankees, there's 9 out of 10 times they are going to win. The Yankees are going to get lucky off of like a Mookie Betts error or something like that. The Yankees probably are not going to beat the Dodgers, but it is going to be sad to see Clayton Kershaw retire. That guy's been around in the league a lot. One of those storied, players, and yeah, it'll be tough to see him go. But who knows? The Dodgers will sign the next big prospect to a 15-year deferred contract, and their payroll will be like $5.7 billion by like 2035 if they don't do anything about the salary cap or floor, or who knows. But what it meant, the Dodgers became the first MLB team to win back-to-back World Series titles since the New York Yankees did it. My Yankees had to sneak that one in there since they did it in 1998 to 2000. This Game 7 was regarded as an all-time classic. Totally ton of lead changes. Just back-to-back baseball, late game heroics, extra innings, standout performances, you name it. This series and Game 7 had a ton of fun. And for the Blue Jays, it was heartbreaking. They were so close. And I mean, so close. There was a moment in I think it was the 7th inning where it was 2 outs, 1 or 2 guys on, and there was a ball hit down the first base side, and it looked like it was going to maybe squeak in or bounce foul. But Vlad Jr. just made an incredible play. And at that point, like, he gets up, he was so excited. At that point, I was like, wow, like, Toronto may actually win this. And I was really excited to see Vlad get a ring. If it came to that, sadly it didn't. But I was, rooting for the Blue Jays the whole way. Like, at first, it took me a minute to like really find somebody to root for. But at that point, you got to root for the Blue Jays because they're facing the Dodgers in Game 7. Whatever. But yeah, it was a great series nonetheless. You wish the Dodgers best of luck. Hopefully they don't three-peat. Hopefully they don't four-peat. Let's not, really put that out there. But yeah, great series. And I'm sad baseball's over, but, free agency will happen soon. And the Yankees have made a few moves. There's other news in sports around New York City. What while we're on the topic of baseball, the Yankees announced that they've picked up Tim Hill's club option for 2026. Tim Hill has been great for the Yankees, real ground ball pitcher, and I think he's great. But I was also surprised by their move to decline Jonathan Loizaga. He was coming back from injury, and in those starts, he had like a 4.7, 4.5 ERA. Kind of cost the Yankees a few games, or didn't help them in a lot of games. So sad to see that guy go. But naturally, maybe the Mets will pick him up, or he'll go play in, I don't know, St. Louis, and he'll have like a 1.8 ERA, and somehow have a redemption era, and then maybe he'll be on the Yankees for a season, do well, and then retire. That's just how it goes with New York Yankees pitchers. So whatever. And then around Manhattan, the New York Rangers have yet to win a home game this season. It's been a tough one if you're going to MSG. I honestly would just watch them from home. It's way cheaper unless you're trying to stream on YouTube and whatever. But yeah, tough time to be a Rangers fan. Hopefully they can break that curse soon, and we'll see what happens there. The New York Knicks remain unbeaten at home after a dominant win over the Minnesota Timberwolves last night, 137-114. I am excited. I loved watching the Knicks last season, and hopefully they can continue that into this season. Just I want to go see a game. I almost won a few tickets for an outrageous price in a raffle, and I was this close to getting tickets, but for this season. But eventually you'll see me on TV with a sign, hopefully. And then last but not least, we have Max Fried winning his 4th career Gold Glove for the Yankees. Just the Yankees ace, good guy, great guy in the clubhouse, and you love to see one of your guys win. So yeah. Anyways, that's all we've got for this week of your New York Sports Update. For WIUR, I'm Ernest Patty, and it's been a pleasure.